talking a little bit about kind of Oklahoma-based companies and businesses that you've worked with. I mean, you have been in the business and just watched this city grow over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, it must be fascinating to still be here and, you know, going back to that day where you chose to, you know, said to your mum, hey, I want to go back to Oklahoma, and now you've seen this city come from, you know, just having Bricktown and being a ghost town down there and not being safe to go down to, I mean, thriving into even today's, you know, what it is now. But
both my sons, when they got out of high school, went to LA, and they were in the film business.
Okay.
They were both out there about 10 years each. And it was right at that time where maps had come on and all of that stuff. And then they come back, and they're both like, holy moly. You know, I mean, that sort of snapshot before and after was pretty fun to watch. And of course and they've been in Oklahoma for a while, and it's grown at least double that from when they got back. And I absolutely love it. I love seeing Oklahoma firms grow, and we get to go kind of be alongside a lot of them that are doing that, and it just does your heart good. You know, we actually do work all over the North America, but you know, part of me is like, you guys just need to move to Oklahoma. Your life would be a lot easier here than where you are, because sometimes where they are is so regulated or whatever else it may be. And this is just a great place for business.
Yeah. Perfect. To that point, you know, you started Cortado Ventures recently because there was a clear need for that, and there's passionate people here who want to invest in something. Tell me a little bit about kind of what it is and why it was started, and kind of, I guess, how it's been doing.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, it was actually I think almost a funny story. I was reading one day, this is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I read where most people make most of their real money between the ages of 50 and 75. And I'm reading that, and I'm doing fine, but I thought I still haven't hit the nut of really what I wanted to achieve financially.
Right.
And I'm like, crap, I'm halfway through that. And so, because I had enough business background, I said, okay, calm down. You know, David, look at the assets that you've got that you might be able to leverage. So one asset was, we see a fair amount of deal flow here at Magellan. Now we don't work with startups typically, but it doesn't matter. They would still reach out to us. And then I had a variety of friends that would say, hey, if you ever see something worth investing in, let me know. Okay, so I'm like, okay, that's an asset and that's an asset. How do you put these together? And the answer is venture capital, of which I didn't know how to spell. And so I reached out to an old friend of mine, Mike Marotti. He and I spoke kind of back to back at a thing probably 10 years ago or more. And we started chatting, and he kind of had that, he was at a point where he kind of saw and felt the same thing and kind of wanted to do something. And so we had a couple of false starts trying to get that going, and then we met Nathaniel Harding, who's the third partner. And Nathaniel was like, I mean, it was like God opened up and said, here you go. And it's just been phenomenal ever since. And, you know, we said, let's see if we can go raise $10 million. I will tell you, Oklahoma has so many entrepreneurs that just didn't have a framework, a place to go. And we've got so many willing investors that just didn't have a place to put their money. They were going East Coast, West Coast. And the demand was so high. We wanted to raise $10 million in a year, and we raised $20 million in 6 months. And we've already invested. It's now, I'd say, about 2 years old. We've invested in 24 companies. Out of all of that, the last 2 years, we've only one has gone wrong. The others are doing really well. Some are doing, you know, we've got one I think will be what's called a unicorn. It'll have a market cap of about $1 billion here at some point. Yeah. So that's been exciting. Well, now we're out of that fund 1, so we started fund 2, and we go, let's sort of reach for the moon. Most people they'll go from 20 million, let's do the next one at 30. Well, we said let's put the next one around 80 million. And in 6 weeks we had 20 million already.
Oh my gosh.
Accounted for. And I mean, that is 100% demand.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at 500 deals per year. That's how much demand there is for investment in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And a huge percentage of those are here in Oklahoma. And then same thing with investors. You've got people going, I'm just glad there's a formal framework now. And believe me, this is a weird one. I don't believe in any competition. I lived competitive worlds in my corporate days, so I don't believe in competition. And when we started Cortado, I said, we will have failed if in 5 years there aren't at least 5 other venture capital companies in Oklahoma. Because there's enough for everybody, and everybody has their own little thesis of what they're going to invest in and type of investors they're looking for. And so I'm very excited to now start seeing other people get really interested in creating venture. Because guess what happens? You start now we have outside investors wanting to throw money at Oklahoma. I don't know who needs to hear that, but it's pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah.
You know,